Jeff in Florida, you're on with Paul and Matt. How are you?
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, guys. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I told the call screener that I was an atheist. I'm sorry, a theist that is on its way out. I don't know what he wrote down, but I'm pretty close to not believing anymore. I actually came out to my wife last night as a agnostic, and I think it went okay. And
I'm sorry, Jeff. I froze up for a minute and I missed that last sentence. If you could repeat it.
Oh, I said that I came out to my wife last night as an agnostic that's hopeful, but on its way out.
Yeah.
And
how'd you take that?
Yeah. So I'm
how'd it go?
Close to. It went okay. She didn't leave me on the spot, but
you did better than me.
But it. Wow.
And now I feel bad for laughing.
For the next few weeks. Yeah. I'm actually a member of RFR for the last few weeks because of my anxiety over coming out. But so I guess I'm kind of still on the fence and trying to hold on to the beliefs I've had for about 20 years now.
I want to try and get to the specific question, the specific question that the call screener had in there, because I'm genuinely interested in Paul's take on it and would like to offer you mine because I think there's a mistake in the question. So if we can get to that, because we're over time.
So, yep, understood. So the question that I have deals with politics, and I do not want to mention any names with politics at all, because I know this is not the venue for that. If it was, I would call your other.
Well, hang on. What's listed, what the call screener listed has nothing to do with politics. Have you changed what you wanted to talk about?
No, not at all. I mentioned that I wanted to talk about why. Well, it deals with politics in a way, but it's I guess the topic is free will.
Sure. So my understanding was that you were going to essentially ask, if we don't have free will, why are there people like Hitler who are considered evil if they didn't have a choice?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I wasn't necessarily calling about Hitler per se.
Sure.
But
it's about
politicians in general. Yeah.
You're concerned about if there is no free will, how do we hold people responsible? My quick answer is, and then I'll let Paul get the last word on all this. I don't consider people to be evil. I don't consider people to be racist. I don't, as a general rule. What I talk about are the actions that people take are evil, are racist. The things that they support are evil, are racist, etc. And you would need to have like someone who was overwhelmingly like racist all the time before I'd ever be comfortable with saying that person is racist. But even if you got to a point where I would say that person is racist or that person is evil or whatever else, it doesn't have anything to do with free will. It doesn't matter whether they somehow manage to decide to do this. That person, that brain, that entity is still taking those actions that we find problematic and has that character that we want to find problematic. It doesn't matter whether it's their responsibility or not. What we care about with regard to morality and free will is that we want to be able to hold people responsible, but we can. This is the point that Sam Harris made in The Moral Landscape, is that even without free will, I can still hold you responsible. Just like my car has no free will, but if it's got a wobbly wheel, I need to get that fixed and I shouldn't be driving it around. It's not the car's fault, but the car's dangerous. And so that car gets parked until such time as it's repaired, or maybe forever. So I just think it's kind of a language problem where people are like, oh, how if you're not to blame, how can we call you evil? Well, look at Chapman, the shooter at the University of Texas, who had a brain tumor that was they found after they did it. Is the brain tumor the reason that he shot all those people? Quite probably, but it doesn't mean that we still shouldn't have said, hey, this individual, for whatever reason is wrong with him, is a danger. And so we're going to label it as such and take that action. I don't know, where are you at on this, Paul?
Well, even if you're a hard determinist, which I kind of almost lean that way as a hard determinist, you know, the problem of keeping people responsible is only a problem if you want to have punitive judgment against them, if you want to seek revenge against people for the actions they've done. But that tends to be not the way the best punishment happens. The reason why we don't want to hold someone accountable is so that we can isolate them if they are going to always be detrimental or harmful to our society, because we care about society in general more than we care about an individual. And, you know, so if all you want to do is punish someone, then maybe under hard determinism, you don't have a lot of leg to stand on. But as Matt said, if you can potentially fix the person or correct the person or give them more education so that they will no longer be problematic to society, well, then it doesn't matter that, you know, that that it was determined. And again, if what you want to do is protect society, it doesn't matter it was determined. It's this idea of revenge punishment that is the very narrow sliver that becomes problematic. And I would say that this revenge punishment idea isn't a great one anyway.
I'm in agreement with Paul on the revenge punishment thing, except that I think this applies even outside of revenge punishment, because if you break my window, whether you intended to as a malicious act or it was an accident, you are the agent that we're going to hold responsible.
Right.
And if it was because you were just playing catch out in the front yard and, you know, something startled you, whatever, and then you threw the ball, you don't have evil intent. You're not trying to do anything. You're still the one that's responsible, and you're still the one that should be paying for my window. Talking your 5-year-old up in my driveway, and your 5-year-old picks up a rock and throws it to the window, you are the one that I'm going to hold responsible, not the 5-year-old, because you are the steward for the 5-year-old. And so when we're talking about where does the responsibility lie, we draw a line at we draw several lines at various stages of human development. Not some of them we do with age, and those are general rules because not everybody's equally responsible at various ages. Some people with diminished mental capacity may never reach an age or a mental capacity where we would hold them responsible. It's frustrating. I think the thing that Jeff's really worried about is if people who are truly monstrous didn't just choose to be, what does that say about us, and how can we hold anybody responsible for that? And the answer is we hold them responsible because if we don't, the world is a worse place to live in.
In a way. So for adults, if we count ourselves as algorithms with beliefs and ways of thinking, so I guess the best thing to do would be to vote out people who we count as evil.
Well, what you need to consider, though, is that there's lots of inputs. So determinism doesn't just mean your brain chemistry. There's lots of inputs. There's the temperature of the room. There's the conversation you just had. And there's also education. So I was a young earth creationist Christian up until a few years ago. But what changed was I learned more. And so the way I act, the way I judge all of morality is different now because I learned more. So what you're saying is that we should, I guess I would advocate that what we want to do is bring forth good information as best we possible to improve the algorithm. What you don't just say, well, that's the algorithm and all the inputs that are possible and throw it, you know, against the wind. We can improve the inputs and we can improve the algorithm.
We may not be able to improve the algorithm in the person who's currently elected, but the people who are voting for him.
Oh, well, now I know why you were worried about the political thing. Yeah, we're not digging in on that, but
yeah, and
it's still just a pragmatic thing that there are agents who are, should, and will be held responsible for actions, and that's true whether there's hard determinism, weak determinism, whether there's free will, libertarian free will, no free will. That's just true that we have individuals that are agents, that are actors in reality, and that it is in our best interest to hold those actors responsible to varying degrees at varying times based on all the available information. And that one of the things that we should be doing, you know, once upon a time, and this is what Paul's talking about with the vengeance thing, it was an eye for an eye. And then we found out that there are better ways, because an eye for an eye doesn't make the person who lost an eye any better. And it makes the person who took the eye worse. And it's not even clear that this is a particularly significant deterrent. It's not like when we look at things like capital punishment, the death penalty, we know from statistical studies, it's not a deterrent. Thinking, oh, if I'm caught, the state will kill me, so I'd better not kill this person who molested my child, or I should not kill this person who slept with my spouse. Thoughts like that don't go through someone's head in those circumstances. And so the things that we thought were deterrents weren't. And we've just been riding on vengeance and our best possible sense of justice, which is, let's make it slightly less shitty, or let's let the people who've been wronged at least give them an illusion that someone has made up for it. We'll never bring their child back. We'll never bring their spouse, we'll never fix that, but at least this feels like it. Maybe the solution is to teach people from a humanist perspective that there's a way to change your own outlook. I forgive people. I don't forgive people for their benefit. I forgive people for my benefit, because if I hang on to that baggage, it affects me. It doesn't affect them. And I'm not suggesting, well, let's just forgive everybody who commits a crime ever. I'm saying there are things we can change. This is what Paul is essentially talking about how we teach everybody, both the people who are likely to commit crimes and likely to injure people, and the people who are likely to be victims, all of us, so that we can look at this world and say, you know what? There is a better way. And even if we don't know for sure that there's a better way, or we don't know for sure what that better way is at any given time, we should at least be looking for a better way. And none of that changes based on free will or determinism or anything else. We're stuck in whatever world we're stuck in. And it might as well, it's almost as useless as trying to figure out whether or not the logical absolutes work inside of a black hole.
And per that public service announcement at the start, find a candidate that you think thinks the way that you would like them to think and vote for them.
Understood.
On that note, Jeff, I gotta let you go. I appreciate the call. Thanks for hanging on so long, and being a fine last caller for the show. So first of all, thanks to Paul, who on Thanksgiving took time out to come in and just be awesome. I want to get you back on whenever we can and whenever you have time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Don't want to just pull you in on an emergency. But the last people I want to thank are the crew behind the scenes. We show at the beginning, at the end of all this. Those people are just awesome. And no matter what you may think of me, or what you may think of Paul, or what you may think of anybody else, those people are absolutely fine people who are nothing at all like Hitler. As far as I know. Oh, I loved it. I love seeing Katie's face just then. All right, everybody, you take care. Please take care of yourself. We hope to see you again next week. Bye-bye.